Hi everyone, my name is Adam GESC and welcome back to my channel where I'll be putting out my first proper video. This is part 1 of my Eurovision 2025 semi-final running order predictions where I will predict the running order of semi-final 1. Obviously the running order for both semi-finals will be out at this stage, so I'm also going to include my initial reactions to the official running order later on in this video. Before I begin with this video, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and comment down below your thoughts and some suggestions on future topics I should cover on this channel. So the way I'm going to do this video is to look at both the first half and the second half individually, and then I will also look at the automatic qualifiers who are voting in the semi and decide where in the running order they should be placed in. Firstly, let's look at the countries who are performing in the first half. And the countries are as follows: Sweden, Ukraine, Slovenia, Iceland, Estonia, Poland and Portugal. The song that I have predicted to perform first in the semi-final is Estonia with Espresso Macchiato by Tommy Cash. I get it, it's not everyone's cup of tea, no pun intended, but to make a good show opener, you need to get the crowd hyped up. But at the same time, you can't really pick one of the favourites, in case people are only tuning in for that one specific song. But this has been trending in multiple Spotify viral charts, and even the Italians seem to love it, so if the locals are happy with this opening, so am I. In the second spot, I've picked Portugal with Deslocado by Napa. The second spot in the semi-final is never usually a good placing, and it is usually only reserved for a song that isn't really too likeable. Although I feel like this would be too soft of a song to be placed in this spot, it feels like a very random choice that Portugal has made if you compare it to all the other entries in this specific half, let alone anything Portugal has sent in recent years. Third in my running order prediction is Iceland with Roa by Vibe. This could also potentially be a good opener for the semi-final, but at the same time, I want this song to stand out on its own if it wants to make the final. Nevertheless, it's still a great bop that will get the crowd going, and I really wish people didn't sleep on this, because this song is a lot of fun, and I think the boys have something unique to offer, which I definitely think will work to its advantage. Song number 4 is Slovenia with How Much Time Do We Have Left by Clemen. We all know that this is going to flop in the semi-final, as it is easily one of the blandest songs in the entire lineup. I did not want to place it too early in case viewers decide to turn Eurovision off, nor place this too late in case people start to feel underwhelmed. Hence why I decided to place it in the middle of this half. The country I have in 5th is Sweden with Bara Bara Bastu by Kai. People could argue that this could potentially close the first half, which could probably happen, but just because something is a fan favourite doesn't automatically mean that it has to close its allocated half. But from just speculating the reaction online alone, this will stand out no matter what position it's placed in. Let's be real. In 6th, I've placed Ukraine with Bird of Prey by Zifferblatt. Out of all the obscure alternative choices in this half, this is easily the one that's gonna resonate with people most. And I know a lot of people are sleeping on this, and some are potentially saying that this could be Ukraine's first ever NQ. However, you can never really underestimate Ukraine. Even if you're not really a fan of what they send, they always tend to do well, regardless. And I think placing it this late in the first half will benefit its chances even further. And lastly, to close off the first half in the 7th spot, is Poland with Gaia by Justyna Stekowska. This is such a mind-blowing entry. Although there could be some people who think this may be a bit too over the top, its general reaction is still overwhelmingly positive. I also think a good closer in the first half is something you can easily put into the second half, and it's far too powerful to place earlier on in the semi. I also know that the performance is going to blow the roof off, so you kind of need to save these entries as far in the running order as possible. So that's the end of the first half, and now I'm going to move on to the second half, which includes the Netherlands, Azerbaijan, Albania, San Marino, Belgium, Cyprus, Croatia and Norway. The country that I think will open the second half is Azerbaijan, who are sending Run With You by Mama Gamma. This is the third year in a row Azerbaijan are performing in this half, and for the previous 2 years they've performed in the exact same spot with generally weak entries. Even though this is more likable and listenable than their previous entries, I kind of don't want it to be placed too late in this half, as it kind of feels a bit shallow compared to the majority of the entries in this half. So that's why it's here. Moving on to spot number 9, which is the Netherlands with C'est la Vie by Claude. I know this is a televote only semi, and considering that this is more of a jury friendly song, it would sound a bit harsh to place this as early as possible. Even though this song has pure and raw emotion, it still feels a tad bit too tame to be placed later on in the running order. Regardless of its position, I think it will still stand out and qualify, even if it comes in the lower half of the top 10. Song number 10 is Cyprus with Shush by Theo Evan. There are a lot of boy bops in this half, and they're all kind of hard to separate. But out of them all, this is the one that kind of sounds the most generic in terms of its production, so if any of them were to perform first, it will probably be this. In the 11th position, I've placed Albania with Germ by Skodra Elektronika. There is a huge fan appeal for this song in particular, and I can definitely see why. This is such a great example of sending a modernized folk song. In saying this, I don't feel like this has enough of an anthemic power to place near the end of the semi-final, but it still has a lot of strong elements that will make it stand out to a large quantity of viewers. So I thought it would be fitting to place this somewhere in the middle of this half. In position 12, I've placed San Marino with Tutta l'Italia by Gabri Ponte. Look, as a die-hard EDM stan, even I admit that dance songs specifically recorded by DJs never tend to do well in Eurovision. But simultaneously, this is still an incredibly fun song that will definitely get the crowd going. So this could technically be placed anywhere, but I chose this position specifically because it seems like a filler spot that is used for songs that don't normally score high competition-wise, but still something fun enough that will keep the viewers engaged. In place 13, I chose Norway with Lighter by Kyle Alessandro. Out of all the male bops in this half, this is the one that sounds the most radio friendly, but this is the one that will generally stand out with the highest range of people. It also has a slick piece of choreography and a dance break, and somewhere close enough to the end, but not specifically at the end, is relatively a good spot to place these kinds of performances in. Country number 14 is Croatia with Poison Cake by Marko Bošnjak. Even if it was one of the favourites of the pre-selection, it still doesn't seem to be impressing a lot of Eurofans from what I've observed. But from my perspective, this definitely has the shock factor that'll grab the attention of the viewers. There are much better examples of these kinds of songs, but just because of how dramatic it is, I think it's fairly reasonable to leave it near the end. And chances are, it could probably give it a boost and possibly become a shock qualifier? Or maybe I just put it here to push us far away from Albania. And lastly, at spot 15, and the song that I think will close semi-1, is Belgium with Strobe Lights by Red Sebastian. Yet another male bop, but this one has more of a darker underground kind of vibe than the average male bop. And we've seen songs like these close the semi-final before, and I think it's a fantastic way to do so. It's like you're in a club and you hear the final show-stopping song, which will end the night on a high. I also think Red Sebastian's vocals can really elevate this performance, which will have a huge impact on the crowd and the viewers at home. I also wanted to separate this from the Netherlands, considering that this was selected from the Flanders region of Belgium. And finally, I will look at all the automatic qualifiers voting in the semi and discuss where they should be placed in the semi-final. These countries are the host country of Switzerland, as well as Italy and Spain. Switzerland are sending Voyage by Zoe May. This is an incredibly chill song, but it's one that is done well. The emotions conveyed in the song are so elegant, and it will easily resonate with people in a lineup full of up-tempo songs. It might not do incredibly well in the final, but if you compare this to the other two automatic finalists in the semi, this stands out by a large margin. Therefore, I will place the song in between San Marino and Norway, just to give viewers a bit of a breather from all the loud songs leading up to the end of the semi-final. Next up, we have Italy with Volevo Essere un Duro by Lucio Corsi. Although the song isn't really bad, it just seems like a bit of a filler song if you compare it to what Italy usually sends, even if the ballad is in the same vein. Some people might also find it a bit too old-fashioned, so for those reasons, I'm placing this in between Azerbaijan and the Netherlands. I just feel like if you put it too late in the semi, people will probably fall asleep, and there is already enough chill songs in the first half anyway, so I thought it would be most fitting to put Italy in the middle. And lastly, Spain are sending Esa Diva by Melody. People love a good girl bop, so you have to place this near the end, right? Well, this has always been an incredibly dated pop song to begin with, but after the revamp, it ends up sounding even more dated than ever was before. So this literally has to go near the beginning. I chose to place it in between Slovenia and Sweden, as this is the section with the least amount of pop songs. And I think it would be a good indicator to keep the viewers on track from all the filler chill songs. To give you a recap of the running order, I've created a finalized prediction, which is as follows: Estonia, Portugal, Iceland, Slovenia, Spain, Sweden, Ukraine, Poland, Azerbaijan, Italy, the Netherlands, Cyprus, Albania, San Marino, Switzerland, Norway, Croatia, and Belgium. Now let's see how accurate my predictions were, and let's look at what the official running order is like. So this is the day that the official running order for both semis have been revealed, and I wasn't able to record my initial reactions last night because I went to see Loreen in concert. I'm just going to go through my thought process on how I feel about the first semi-final first, and then I'll do my thoughts on the second semi-final in the next video. Before I go through my thoughts, here is the official running order for semi-final 1. So in the first half, we have Iceland opening. I can definitely see why they're opening. They would be great to get the show going. If I didn't think Tommy Cash would open, Vibe would definitely be my second choice. My only worry for Iceland is that I feel like it might hinder its chances on qualifying. Poland coming second though, that is a complete shock. Yeah, I know Poland is not always the greatest Eurovision country, but having a song this powerful and dramatic this early just blows my mind. I don't know how they did that. But hey, Poland always usually qualifies with the public anyway, so I think they will do fine. Slovenia third, makes sense. Estonia fourth, makes sense. It's not too late in the semi. I feel like Estonia is way too quirky of a song to place later on in the first half. Ukraine fifth, makes sense. Sweden sixth. It would be an ideal to close off the first half, but I can cope with sixth. However, Portugal closing up the first half really surprised me. But at the same time, it could be a good thing for Portugal to help them stand out even more because of how chill it is, I suppose. And in the second half, Norway and Belgium at the beginning is just... I don't even know how to describe this. Two of the biggest boy bops in the half being saved to open it up. I think out of all the songs in the second half, either Belgium or Norway would probably be the most ideal closers. But to have them perform early on in the second half is just very questionable. Azerbaijan is on early enough, makes sense. San Marino, I did not think they were close, and I don't think they would stand out even if they did close. I'm really happy with Albania's placing. I was right in saying that Albania would be placed in the middle, but it is also late enough to give them a chance to stand out as much as possible. Also, I'm really impressed the Netherlands is performing late enough as well. Even though I did say that I would have placed them early on in the second half, I'm actually glad that they aren't. Because like the meaning is so impactful, and I definitely think Claude could sell this off very well. When I was thinking about placing Croatia second to last in the semi, I kind of also thought maybe I should switch Croatia with Albania, because I feel like Croatia might be a bit too intense to leave near the end. But as it turns out, I was actually right with placing Croatia near the end, as they actually are second last out of all the songs competing in the semi. I think having Croatia this late in the running order could definitely boost his chances in doing well. I did not expect Cyprus to close at all. I get why Cyprus is there, but like out of all the boy bops, I just don't know if it's the most appropriate one to close overall. But it's still a good bop though. I'd say Cyprus could be another entry that will benefit from its staging alone. And also in terms of the automatic qualifiers, I was definitely right with the order they would be placed in. I got Spain in its exact spots. Italy was in the middle. Also, I'm very surprised that they would leave Switzerland's as the second last performing song. But I also kind of knew it would perform near the end anyway. Overall, there were some questionable choices. I think the first half looks a lot more polished, but we'll have to see how the show turns out in May. So that's the end of part 1 of my predictions and initial reactions to the semi-final running orders. Please stick around, as in the next while I will be uploading part 2, where I will cover the running order of the second semi-final. Make sure you like, subscribe and comment down below on any thoughts on what I have discussed in this video. Let me know your running order predictions. How accurate were they? And what are your thoughts on the official running order? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully I will see you next time. Goodbye!